Welcome back to the Bill and Doug Show, chopping it up with some Buckeye talk, Bill. That's the plan for this Wednesday morning, right?
That is the plan this Wednesday morning and most mornings, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we like chopping it up. We like talking Buckeyes. Ryan Day spoke on Tuesday, as he always does. He did speak an hour earlier than usual because it was Veterans Day,
Indeed.
not just on Ohio State's campus, but throughout America. And so campus was closed and they moved stuff up a little bit. A couple things we want to cover. We also just would remind you, like, subscribe, tell a friend about the Bill and Doug Show. I want to start with the art of playing quarterback because I feel like I could listen to Ryan Day talk about the art of playing quarterback for 4 hours. And I think it would be fun to sit in a room and listen to Ryan Day and his starting quarterback, whoever it is, whether it's Justin Fields or Dwayne Haskins or C.J. Stroud or Will Howard or Kyle McCord or this season Julian Sayin, talk about the art of playing quarterback. And I like when he uses the word art, and he used the word art Tuesday.
He did use the word art. It's when he very obviously can't help but talk the most, right? When you sort of ask him about the art of playing quarterback or anything that sort of delves into that territory, that's like kind of when he's at his best, I think, because it's what he does, it's what he did, it's his expertise.
Yep.
It's what he still loves, even as a head coach. So I think he relishes the opportunities to kind of talk in depth about it.
So I kind of think so. His son, RJ Day, who is just having a great high school football season, is he not?
Yeah, he lit it up the other day. 480 yards, I think, school record. Yeah.
Do you follow Ryan Day on Instagram?
Yes, I do, but I don't actually check Instagram all that often to see what he's up to.
He does not. I follow very few people, so the people that I do follow, like, they pop up. He's not very active on Instagram. It was like, oh, Ryan Day has an Instagram story the other day, and it was like a thing of RJ Day's huge game.
Oh, cool.
He was
I did not know this was happening at the time, but RJ took a visit to Purdue on Saturday. Like, he was
for real?
He was an unofficial visitor for Purdue, but I guess like part of the deal was he had to drive himself there because he had a game on Friday night and he wasn't on the team playing. So, but yes, he was a recruiting visitor for Purdue. Like, I'll be interested to see where he ends up, because it seems like he is getting significantly better and maybe could be a, I don't know, kind of lower end Big Ten guy.
Yeah. I will say, I wondered about this. What would you, we're making this up.
Sure.
But what if Ryan Day had said, you know what? I really want to watch RJ play. You guys go. I'll take my own private jet over Friday night later, or I'll fly Saturday morning, but I'm not going to go with the team on Friday to Purdue because I want to watch my son play in a high school football playoff game.
I don't think it'd be unheard of for him to do that. But I bet Ryan Day is the kind of guy who like wants to be in it with his team, right? He doesn't want to give any indication that he's not. So I don't know that he would do that unless it was like, well, I guess if it were like a state championship game, Ohio State would be in the playoff itself. So I guess that wouldn't happen either. I do believe he does occasionally go to home games when OSU is like at the golf course or at the team hotel, but I don't think you do it on the road.
I mean, it's like the exception to the rule, but like no offense to Purdue, I don't think probably that would be a thing to do the Friday night before the Michigan game.
Yeah,
but I would wonder about it. I would wonder if it like even crossed his mind for a nanosecond, or if he talked about it. Because I bet you if he brought it up, I think I would. Don't you? Do you think Ross Bjork and Quinn Temple, the chief of staff, and Brian Hartline and Matt Patricia would say, "Go, we got this. Go to the game."
Yeah, maybe. But the other thing too, you'd be setting a precedent for like every assistant on your staff who wants to do that to try to do the same thing. I don't know if you'd want to do that.
Or if you want to do it, be the boss.
That's true.
I don't know.
Perks, baby.
It's
private jet.
It's a very like we're making this up. It's not like I've secretly had a conversation with Ryan Day and he said like, oh, I almost went to the game. But it's just like it's hard. It's hard. This is that time in your life, and everybody goes through it, and there's lots of people who have jobs that take them away. So I just was wondering about it a little bit. I also kind of think, do you remember how Tom Herman, one of his children, his middle name was Danger? Do you remember that? Tom Herman's kid,
yeah.
Danger, yeah. Because he wanted his son to be able to like say, my middle name is Danger, and actually mean it. So he named his son's middle name was Danger.
Yeah, that's a bit much. If you ask me,
I kind of want Ryan Day. I kind of wish Ryan Jr.'s name was Art Day, and it would be like, Ryan, why did you name your son Art? And it's like, because I love the art of football.
Art Day's like an old jazz musician.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. Ding 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 ding. Hey, we're here with Art today. Art Day. Ding ding ding. He just threw for 456 yards. Ding 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 ding. I think that Ryan Day, I think one of the best things about him, about quarterback play and about offense, is that I do think he mixes the science and the art very well. And I think that it can be a very difficult thing. And so the conversation about this was about the pick that Julian Sayin threw. And, it's a bad throw by Julian Sayin. But he's also talking about like you don't want to paralyze somebody. You don't want to have them thinking so much that they're frozen and that they're afraid to try to make a play. And that's what the art of playing quarterback is. And I think, Bill, sometimes you can look through college football and I think you can see quarterbacks in real time struggling with the art of the sport. And I do think sometimes because it's one of those things. Because sometimes to me, my instinct is that throwing an interception is art. Oh, it's beautiful, right? It's like throwing a bunch of paint at the wall. There's nothing better than an interception, and then you call it art. Yeah, you get out of jail free card. What happened there? That was art. But I do think sometimes, for instance, when you watch the Penn State quarterbacks in the James Franklin era, I feel like they struggled with the art of it. Now, in the end, the hard thing is what sort of killed Drew Aller in the end was an interception against Notre Dame last year in the semifinal to end that game, an interception against Oregon in double overtime. So it's not like, hey, I wish Drew Aller threw more picks. But there was also that time when the big thing about Drew Aller was he doesn't ever throw any picks. He hasn't thrown a pick for 843 plays. And I actually would say I wish he threw picks because I feel like that's robotic. That's scientific. Yeah. That's not ever trying to make a play in an appropriate circumstance. And if you never take risk, you're not going to get the greatest reward. And I think you would see with the Penn State quarterbacks, did they get that reward often enough, right? And then even I think you could find, even like in those two picks that we're mentioning, they felt like a little more like scientific picks, that it's like, well, it was a bad read, as opposed to like, he's trying to make a play for his team. And I do think when Ryan Day brings that up, to your point, he loves it, but also I think it might be the thing that he's best at.
It probably is the thing that he's best at. I also think, there's another side to the coin where as a player, you have to be able to take a chewing out sometimes, like not let it sort of impact you the way we've seen it impact some players. And I think there's something about Julian Sayin that positions him well there too. Like I'm trying to I would imagine that CJ Stroud, whom he didn't love getting chewed out by Ryan Day early on, right? Just like knowing CJ and how sort of like confident he was in his own abilities and not afraid to speak his mind either, right? And I'm not even saying that's a bad thing, but I bet that's something that two of them had to work through. And I'm not saying that Ryan Day and Julian Sayin haven't had to or won't have to work through something similar in the future, but again, just like sort of observing personalities, I wonder maybe if there's something about Julian's makeup that even if Ryan Day did chew him out, and he kind of said he didn't after that play, that he would just kind of roll with it and be okay anyway. I think like that calm under pressure thing does not only have to apply to how you handle things on the field necessarily, and I think that's what really Ryan Day is, and he said this before, like he is trying to make his quarterbacks as uncomfortable as they possibly can be in practice. So, and like in the meeting room and when they're being taught, so that when they get to the game and it is exceedingly difficult, it doesn't feel that way. So, but I think that kind of gets to the art you're talking about too. I do think preparing his quarterbacks for, like, I mean, quite literally everything that comes with a position on the field, off the field, is probably his best strength as a football coach.
Because I think there is such a difference between I didn't see that guy, or I read the coverage wrong, or that's not what I was expecting, versus I knew he was there. I just thought I could throw it in the window.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what was happening, and I knew I had a quarter of an inch to make that throw, but I was like, I think I can make it. And then if you throw a pick, so Ryan Day wants, all he ever talks about is he wants to know, what did you see? What did you see? And he wants to make sure that the quarterback is seeing the same thing that Ryan Day is seeing. And if you can explain it, but like that's, we've talked about, like, what's the next step with Ryan Day? It's like, well, he wants the scientific part, but then he wants you to play make. He wants you to use your legs. He wants you to scramble. He wants you to be tough. He wants to put your shoulder down when it's time to get pick up a first down on 3rd and 3. But I bet you when you get to that point, the quarterback is like, well, you threw a pick? It's like, well, did you see the safety? I saw the safety. Did you see the underneath linebacker? I saw the underneath linebacker. Or did you see how this guy was shading off this guy? I saw it. And you threw it anyway? Yeah, I threw it anyway. I thought I could squeeze it in there. That's one of those, like, right, where like you're kind of yelling at your kid, but you're like, you got to turn your head away because you're like, man, that kid. Yeah, I actually love that. You know, like he's supposed to be in trouble right now, but I actually love it. And I could see Ryan Day and Julian Sayin, like, they have a long time left together.
They do.
They could get to that point. I want to throw in two things here. One thing is he said on that play in particular is you throw it away or run it. So he did bring that up, that it's like, okay, and we talked about this already, and it's also just makes me, I like it. Like, we talked this out, and then I felt like the conversation that you and I had about that play, Ryan Day affirmed like what we were talking about, which is it's dead from this. It's dead from the snap because they dropped 8. What are you going to do?
Yeah, he said, like, he had like quite literally the same conversation we had about it, because it was, the options were like, check it down immediately because nothing else is there. They blanketed the end zone with defenders. Drop an 8 on 3rd and goal from the 7. There was a 3-man rush. So like really anything in the end zone is dead. So check it down to CJ Donaldson, scramble and see what you can get, and see if you get enough for you to make you feel like you should go for it on 4th down, or just throw it out at the back of the end zone because you already have the field goal. And like, I guess it's good. Like, that's sort of what Julian Sayin said like immediately after the game too. And I'm sure they had that conversation on the sidelines after it happened. So maybe he was just parroting what Ryan Day said to him. But I thought, like, hearing Julian say that after the game, then hearing Ryan Day say basically the same thing on Tuesday was just yet another sign that I think they're like kind of in sync with this thing. And like, you know, include Billy Fessler in that too, because Billy Fessler is a position coach and he's teaching it the way Ryan Day wants it taught. But yeah, there's a pretty strong connection there. I've really like never at no point this season have I felt like the coaching of the quarterback and the quarterback play have been out of sync. It's grown clearly over the years and expanded, and they're giving Julian Sayin more, but it has always seemed to have happened sort of like in lockstep with one another.
So the really thing, I mean, it feels like maybe the best thing there is like just run for as much as you can get. Try to get an extra 2
probably
yards. Run it. Like, just take off. Like, maybe make that decision a little bit quicker. Like, it's not there. I didn't take the flat. It's not there. Go. And then you give us an option, because we're not going to go for it on 4th and 7, but maybe we'll go for it on 4th and 4 if you can get 3 yards on a scramble, which kind of what he said.
Yeah, I bet if 4th, I bet if they got it to the 3, they would have gone for it.
Yep. Yeah. The 3.5, they would have had to call timeout and talk it out. But I think you're right. I think you're right. 4 is no, 3 is yes, 3.5, they're calling timeout and talking it out. I'm going to throw this just like, I'm just going to drop a bomb into this show. I'm going to drop a bomb right in the middle of the show.
Okay.
I have already, one of the very first things, and people can find more coverage from us on our Substack at billanddougosu.substack.com. Maybe the first thing I wrote was that Tavian St. Clair is Ohio State's Arch Manning. That he is this guy who is this quarterback who's a little different than the very good starter ahead of him, but that maybe like we'll get to a point at Ohio State like they did at Texas where it's like, well, our Quinn Ewers is good, but man, I wouldn't mind to look at Arch. Now, Julian Sayin's been so good that story might just be blown out of the water already. Sure. But like also Tavian St. Clair, people are still really excited about. Talking about how long Ryan Day and Julian Sayin have together. Julian Sayin is not gigantic. Now, Bryce Young's not gigantic, and he was the first pick in the draft, right? Baker Mayfield's not gigantic, and he was the first pick in the draft. You don't have to be gigantic to be a very attractive NFL quarterback. Julian Sayin is a starting quarterback in 2027. If I asked you right now, off the table or at least slightly possible?
Slightly possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. It's fun when I wrote the story about Julian after he got named the starter, and I was talking to his quarterback trainer from out in California. The guy that he brought up as like the person that Julian tried to model his game after was Bryce Young. Now they're not the same player because Julian doesn't run like that, but I think they maybe manipulate the pocket in pretty similar ways.
Bryce didn't run a ton, especially his last year. Like Bryce did not run a ton. Bryce maneuvered. Bryce stayed alive. I'm just curious. So it's like one of those things. If he's just the best quarterback in college football in 2025 and 2026, he's probably not going to stick around for his senior year in 2027. But
my bet would certainly be that he's off to the NFL by then, but I don't think it's impossible that he would stick around.
Right. Because like normally you say stuff like that was like, well, if it doesn't go as great as you would expect, but it's like it's right now it's going as well as anybody could have hoped.
Yeah.
So I'm not throwing it out there with the idea of like, oh, I got a little shaky after this great start. It's like, no, it continues at this pace, but maybe it just is, But then, of course, it's one of those things that people are like, so then Tavian St. Clair just stands around for 3 years and doesn't get to play. So like, what a problem to have. What a problem.
No, we've already gamed this out. Julian and Jeremiah are going to the Jets together, and then Ryan Day is going to coach the Jets. And RJ's going to go to Rutgers.
Oh yeah, did you already say that on a show, or is that a private conversation that you just dropped a second bomb?
That was a private conversation.
Oh yeah. How's everybody feel about that? Like, what an interesting thing to say, Bill Landis, as you just blew up the program that everybody watching loves with all of their heart and soul.
But also, they'll draft Arvell Reese this year. It'll be great when they all get back together in East Rutherford.
I mean, they're trying. Garrett it's a reason for frustrated Garrett Wilson to stick around. Jeremy Ruckert can stick around and still be there. Who are the others? Josh Myers is there. Josh Myers, like, just get the gang back together. And no offense to Justin Fields, but like, it doesn't feel like that part's working out the best. So Greg Schiano's excited. Greg Schiano is signing up for this. And then, because then Ryan Day, like, you don't have to then Ryan Day is like, yeah, that's going to be a big thing. And then all the New York tabloids of Ryan Day spent Saturday watching his son play for Rutgers. Why wasn't he with the Jets? I don't know if they should do it.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. You don't want to deal with that New York media. Yeah. Plus, he's a Boston fan. He's a Boston guy.
Yeah, that's true.
He's gonna coach against the Patriots twice a year. I don't think he can do it.
You're right. He those are the games that he'd skip to go to the Rutgers games.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll be, and then Matt Patricia could go be his DC too. You're destroying people's lives right now. Congratulations. Everyone's freaking out. One thing I thought was interesting beyond the bombs we just dropped, Ryan Day was talking about, I can't remember the exact question, but they were talking about like being physical. And he said when they sit down and like watch stuff as a team after a game, the first thing they show is like the big hits. And he said, we call those culture clips. And so I will say, like, I am so on alert for any time Ohio State references toughness in any way. I'm like, why are you showing clips about big hits? Why aren't you just showing clips of Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith catching passes? What's wrong with you? But as long as they're defensive physical clips, I think I'm okay with it. I just don't want them opening their meetings with, look at CJ Donaldson being physical on this 2-yard run. That's what we're all about. Then I'm like, oh God.
Well, I mean, there will always be some element of that, whether they go back and watch at the end of the Penn State game, James Peoples runs for 2 yards and Ryan Day practically runs onto the field clapping because he was so happy that James Peoples broke a touchdown on a 2-yard run in a game that was decided at 45 minutes prior. They are football coaches and football players at the end of the day. We know what gets them fired up.
Okay. But are you still on alert for toughness conversation stuff or no? You think it's all good?
No. I'm not. No. I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about some of the injury stuff that came up. It was interesting. I already know, I think, what I went on to Ryan Day on Wednesday, but he went through some of the offensive line stuff. He did say that basically he's thinking of Josh Padilla and Tegra Shabola as splitting the right guard duties as soon as Josh Padilla is healthy. What did you think of that?
I wasn't really sure what to make of it, unless it's like, because I think the question was asked the way it was asked. And it might have been Dylan Davis who asked it. Was like, will Josh take over as the starter when he comes back, or like, can Josh take over as a starter when he comes back? And I think at least the initial reaction for Ryan Day from that is maybe when Josh Padilla comes back, he will not be all the way 100%. So they wouldn't want to do that to him. So share the job, let him play it out. And as Josh gets healthier, maybe he can do it, is kind of how I took it. Or maybe they split the role and they both like kind of play better that way, and they keep rolling them both there. The thing that was most interesting to me was like the insertion of Ethan Onyanwa into that conversation, because I can't for the life of me imagine they're going to rotate 3 guys there. But maybe if Josh Padilla has to miss another game, they might rotate Ethan Onyanwa there with Tegra Shabola, at least for this one game against UCLA.
Because I will say, like the Penn State game, that's what they felt like they were starting to do, right? It's like Tegra Shabola played the first 2 series, Josh Padilla played the next 2 series, and then Josh Padilla didn't play anymore. And we were like, oh, Tegra won the job. But it was like, no, Josh Padilla got hurt. And then Josh Padilla didn't play against Purdue. So if that's what they're doing, like 2 for you, 2 for you, 2 for you, 2 for you, and that's what the Padilla Shabola thing is until further notice, that would not surprise me. The thing that I want to ask on Wednesday after practice, because he did talk about Ian Moore, but I don't know that if we have an answer of, okay, so he liked it after the game, and then he reiterated that on Tuesday. He thought Ian Moore played well. Does that mean that Ian Moore will continue to get some snaps at right tackle even when Phillip Daniels is healthy? I don't think we have an answer to that.
We do not have an answer to that. I think there's a couple things, because someone else. So there's, I think there's that. I think there's the, like, while we're talking about it, like, can Ian or Phil Daniels play guard theoretically? And I saw this floated on Substack in one of the comments I think I responded to. The idea of, would you ever consider putting Josh Padilla at center and moving Carson Hinsman to guard, with the thought that Hinsman last year played left guard against Penn State and then played for a couple of games. And like, I actually think in that sample size, he looked better at guard than he's ever looked at center. Not to say that he's a bad center. I just think he might be a better guard. So, and Josh Padilla is like the center and waiting. So like, how far down the road are they willing to go with like truly finding the combination of the best 5? I don't think it's swap out your starting center in the 10th game of the season, but it's probably worth all kind of getting on the table to see where they're at exactly.
I think that's a non-starter, because I don't think they would want to put in a guy who's never played. We know he's the backup center and he's the future center, but he's never started at center before in the back half of a season where you are trying to repeat as national champions. Because the whole thing with Carson Hinsman is the first year he was the center, he wasn't ready to be the center. But then when he was called on last year, then he was ready to be the center, partly because of all the reps he got at center before. So I just,
I think it's too late. I think if there was a time to try that, it was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So it's interesting to think about. I think to have that brought up by a viewer or subscriber, I think is interesting to think about. I think just center is different enough that I don't see it. You wrote about this on your Ryan Day debrief. Just some of the young guys that he brought up: Bryson Rogers, Edric Houston, Jason Moore. Like, what did you think of that? Some of the younger players that he seemed to be impressed with.
I thought, for the defensive tackle thing, I thought it was interesting that he was sort of using Edric Houston as the example for Jason Moore. Like, and we've talked about this a little bit the last couple of weeks, how it does seem like Edric Houston is playing better. And then he started against Purdue because Tywone Malone didn't play. But it really does sound like Ryan Day believes Edric Houston has sort of figured it out. And is ready to like turn it on, right?
Was almost giddy.
Yeah.
About in discussing that Edric Houston has figured it out.
Yes, I think he was too, because he's been asked about it. He might have even been asked about it last week, and I could sense a little bit of like reservation and wanting to express how excited he was about it. And then I felt like this week he really didn't hide that at all. And maybe that was just like they went on the road. He started and he continued to play well, and there was no what did he refer to it as? He said less drama, which I think he means just sort of like a young guy being consumed by the normal ebbs and flows of a football game in a way that really does not help you bring out the best in you. I think that has ceased for Edric Houston, and now he just realizes that he can be like a pretty dominant player snap after snap, and he's starting to tap into that.
And he was talking about how Edric Houston lights up a room.
Mm-hmm.
So this feels like a dynamic young talent who maybe just thought it was going to happen.
Yep.
Like, hey, I'm a big time recruit. It's my time. I'm confident, and let's go. And then he played a bunch of snaps against Texas, and then like it didn't just automatically happen. And so, as I think as often happens, when you have a guy like that has that confidence and that charisma and that like incredible self-belief, and then it doesn't happen, sometimes you have to knock that guy down a little bit. But also it's just like the art of playing quarterback. It's the art of like knocking down a player and building him back up. And it feels like that is what this process has been. And now if what they have come around to is this confident, charismatic version of Edric Houston, who also understands exactly what it's going to take. And he is far from the first young player who maybe didn't exactly know when it was going to take, when it was his time. If that's where they are now, then watch out.
Yeah. And I think, I think they are kind of there. I just like I said, though, I felt that building for the last couple of weeks, and I think you can see him too, like playing with that energy, which is we know how high I was on him coming into the year, and I was clearly out over my skis a little bit and early, but maybe not wrong. I think that's an important distinction.
Early not wrong is a great way to live.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been wrong plenty. maybe just not in this particular instance. I like the idea of him in particular, because of like the 5-star pedigree and what we thought he could become, sort of rounding into form at this time of the year is pretty exciting, I think, for Ohio State, because that's potentially like a real difference maker to put in the middle of your defensive line next to a guy like Caden McDonald, who's playing like one of the best defensive tackles in all of college football. Like that'd be a heck of a tandem. And then you still would have Malone, who's played well as an important backup, Will Smith as an important backup, and maybe Jason Moore, who I must say, like, I wasn't paying a ton of attention to, both watching live and in the rewatch. So I don't want to pretend like he impressed me. I'll just say like I wasn't watching close enough to feel any type of way about it. But Ryan Day, when like posed the question of like, hey, I thought Jason Moore popped a little bit, he seemed to agree. So that's another guy with like a really strong recruiting pedigree who's in his 3rd year and has had some injuries. But still, I think has a considerable amount of talent that Ohio State could tap into.
Yeah. All right. Last thing we'll talk about is this pace of play conversation, which is only the 14th time that it's been brought up in a news conference this year. What's left to say about it? And what did you think of what Ryan Day said about it Tuesday?
I don't really know what's left to be said about it, to be honest. I think Ryan Day did talk about it a little differently. When asked about it on Tuesday, and he said this last year, like with Will Howard, he liked the idea of Will Howard being in the huddle, being able to look guys in the eye, give them a tip, pump them up, calm them down, whatever they need, that kind of thing. And Ohio State has just gotten so accustomed to that now, like, yes, there's a longer term benefit to playing slow, but there also really seems to be something Ryan Day likes about like the team dynamics of huddling before plays and having the opportunity to talk about stuff. And I thought it was just sort of random, I guess, that I found myself paying a little closer attention to some of like Julian Sayin's mannerisms in the huddle in the Purdue game. Maybe because the Big Ten Network was doing a good job of showing it. I don't know. But he seemed to have a pretty strong command of it for a redshirt freshman. So I don't want to pretend he's the same as Will Howard, was 24 years old and had 30-something starts under his belt. But I bet that's a heck of a thing to have to grow into, to stand in the middle of there and spit back out those verbose play calls, and then get everybody on the same page before you break the huddle and go run the play. But it seems like that's, in my opinion, just a guy watching, it seems like it's a strong suit of Julian's now. But clearly Ryan Day likes that. I actually wonder what he might like, even what he might look like more, the effect of it cutting down on the number of plays or the team building that it brings. Because I'm not certain that the answer is the former. It could be the latter.
And the other thing too that I thought was a little bit different, he was talking about tempo. And he basically said, everyone's figured out tempo. A defensive coordinator just knows by your formation, they're doing this. And he almost made it sound like if you're still relying on tempo as an offense in college football, you're simplistic.
Yes. Which is something for them, I think, started around the Brent Venables stuff, right? Because they were worried about Brent Venables stealing their signs and stuff. So like they weren't outright, although they did like outright huddle a little bit in that second Clemson playoff game. But that's when they also did like that muddle huddle stuff where they would like huddle close to the line and then sprint to the line and snap the ball right away. And it's just now evolved into what we see now.
And it's evolved into not only do they play slow, he's now throwing shade on playing fast.
Yes. There aren't I don't know how many teams are playing at warp speed anymore. At least not at the major college football level. One of the other things I wrote about on Tuesday in relation to this was just like looking at some other teams and their plays per game. So like Ohio State's at 58.8. It's down a little bit from last year from 63.9. Indiana's down from 63 to 59. Alabama is down from basically 72 to 61. Like that's a pretty big drop. Oregon's down 65 to 61. Georgia is down 69 to 65. And Ole Miss is down 74 to 67. There's like a couple of teams I pulled just to see like where they were this year relative to last year. And it's like a lot of teams are playing slower and having remarkable. Yeah.
It's remarkable. Like it's practically revolutionary that we've revolutionized back the other way from the time when up tempo, it's like Urban Meyer hired Tom Herman to go up tempo because Urban Meyer hadn't really done it before and he was so intrigued by it. And now it's just like completely passe kind of is. I don't know. It's like people wrote books about the West Coast offense. Are people going to write books about like playing slow, how to revolutionize college football? Right.
Yeah, I think they could. I'm looking to see like there were like, I don't know, 70 something teams getting 70 plays per game in Ryan Day's first season as a head coach. And now there are, let's see, like 20. It's like half or more than half, less than half. I mean,
yeah. Ohio State's averaging 63 plays per game this year. In 2018, they averaged 82.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. Slower and more boring. How college football reinvented itself. That would be good. You're looking for your book topic, aren't you?
I am. Oh, I might have been. Shoot, I think I have the wrong numbers. I do have the wrong numbers. I was looking at opponent plays per game. Ohio State is still playing slow. You're right. You had the right number, 63. But I had slow. 50. I had 58. That's how many plays opponents are playing.
Even slower.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Do you think that'd be a big seller? I want you on a book tour. Rabinowitz is out doing a book tour. Every bookstore in Columbus has Bill Rabinowitz popping by to sign a book. Playing Slow: How College Football Reinvented Itself by Bill Landis.
We can do that. Yeah. Time to write it.
You'd write it slow too. It'd take you like 6 years to write it. All right. So we just wanted to check in, talk a little ball with everybody. Is that all right? We just want to talk a little ball. Is that okay?
Fellas can't talk about ball anymore.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, tell a friend about the Bill and Doug Show. Find us on Substack, Bill and Doug, osu.substack.com. Go buy a hoodie. Roback.com, RHOBACK.com. BAD20 is the code to get 20% off your first order. We'll have a big Substack show, a big Substack Q&A show, only for Substack subscribers. That's the one where we go long. That'll be up sometime Wednesday afternoon. If you're a Substack subscriber, you can go listen to that. It's a good reason to join us on Substack. UCLA Ohio State Pick Show on Thursday. National Pick Show on Friday, and the plan is to have an extra show here on Thursday with a special guest that you guys will like. And
it's
so
not Ari Wasserman.
No. We said they would like it. No, we're just kidding. It's like our best show of the whole year is when Ari was on. Everybody loves Ari. We had love having Ari on. But we have somebody lined up from the media that you guys will like. And I just don't want to say it in case something goes wrong and we don't get to do it. But the plan is to have that Thursday morning. So thanks you guys as always for being here. For now, he's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises. And that was the Bill and Doug Show.